Welcome back to another Witsup Weekly Grind. As always, let me know if the audio is okay. I've been having some issues in the past, and today I'm using a different microphone, this little guy right here. So let me know if you can hear me okay. This morning, I was like, I'm not too sure what we're going to talk about today. There's a few things that have, I was about to say got up my goat. Is that the right phrase? Got up my goat? I don't know. That doesn't sound right. Let's just say a few things have pissed me off over the weekend. Thanks Joe and Kate saying that the sound is a-okay. Appreciate it. Yeah, a few things that have been frustrating, but one thing you would have noticed across social media, thanks Nadine for letting me know that you can hear me okay. And Anne Stansel, thanks for tuning in. I owe you an email as well. One thing you would have noticed if you do jump on social media at all, because you're here, I assume that you do. But the what's called the NCAA, the College Basketball event, has kind of blown up over the weekend, and it started off with an issue that one of the players put out there on social media, and fantastic that they did, essentially showing the weights room, we'll call it a weights room in inverted commas, for the women's basketball teams, which was essentially a rack of dumbbells and a table, and there was, I don't know if it looked like some cloths on top, I don't know. And then the men's weights room or gym, well, let's say gymnasium, because it was, I mean, the place was bigger than two of my houses put together, I reckon. Full of weights, treadmills, cardio, all of the things for the men's. And so this blew up over the weekend. Yoga mats, Jordan just said it was yoga mats. That would make more sense than sheets of paper or whatever I said, rugs. So yeah, it has absolutely blown up over the weekend. Further to that, some of the women started posting other sort of discrepancies between the women's facilities and the men's facilities as well. And that included food and just looking at what the women were getting fed compared to what the men were getting fed. And then the other thing was the swag bags that they get and just the comparison there. So this conversation has absolutely blown up, and it's something that really frustrated me for obvious reasons, but I think the thing that really was getting to me was these are such simple things to get right. And I was about to say simple changes. It shouldn't even be a change. It shouldn't be something that should be changed. It should just be status quo, and it drives me insane that it's not. Reiko has just said the contrast was simply embarrassing, and it was absolutely embarrassing. Things have changed from what we understand over the following couple of days after they were called out live. across social media channels. But how is this shit still happening? Anyway, so I was just going to sit here and have a bit of a rant and talk to you all and, you know, bring your comments in and all that kind of stuff. But I was chatting to a mate of mine who I've met through Women in Sport, you know, across a few different channels. And she just happens to be a professional basketballer here in Australia with an incredible CV. So I reached out to her this morning and I was like, hey, any chance you're free at 1 p.m? And of course she said yes. So I'm about to get her on board because I thought it was important to get a little bit more insight into the basketball world. I obviously know the triathlon world, a little bit about the cycling world, but I really know nothing about the basketball world other than Frankie wears Air Jordans, and it's my favorite item of clothing that we've purchased for her. I just want to grab a couple of comments before we bring in our special guest today. Kama has said, by the way, it's This Girl Can in Victoria this week, which is all about women and girls in sport and trying to change things for the future. Really good point. Check that out. Just search for the hashtag This Girl Can. Kathy Harris has said, we haven't seen how it has changed. Would love to hear from the women basketball players if it's rectified to their needs. So I did see something this morning on social media that the gym has changed for the women. I don't know to what extent, but let's see if we can find out a little bit more about that. So this woman who I am about to, Kathy, I'm just going to bring up her comment, excuse me. Also, why couldn't the NCAA have reached out to Orange Theory and other gyms to help, because they all came forward to offer help after this BS came to light? Fantastic question. All right, instead of me just popping all these questions up here, for now, I'm going to bring on our special guest. But before I do, her name is Britt Smart. She has got 14 years of playing professional basketball under her, I was going to say under her race belt because that's what I say in triathlon. Let's say it's not even under her bib because they don't wear bibs, do they? That's netball. Under her singlet, basketball singlet, whatever. She has played professional basketball in 3 different countries. What else have we got? I might get the year wrong here, but she was the MVP for the Melbourne Boomers in 2017. And the last stat I'm going to give you is when she gets on the chat, because I might get that wrong and I want to get it right. So let's give her a call and get her online. And also make sure you leave a comment for Britt and let her know how amazing she is, because I literally have thrown her under the bus to come and join me at last minute. So really appreciate Britt. All right, we're going to see if we can get her on the line. Oh, let's have a look here.
Hello.
All right. Okay, I've got you here, but hang on 1 second, Britt, because I've stuffed something up. Bear with me. Sorry, folks. Just talk amongst yourselves. I need to... Oh, goodness, something's not working. Hang on 1 second. Sorry, mate. All right. Britt, I'm going to hang up on you for just a second. I'm going to call you back.
All good.
Technology. All right, folks, just bear with me 1 second here while I just fix this one up. What is happening here? What we might have to do is, sorry guys. Oh, this is a shame. I had it all sorted. All right, let's see if this will work. All right, we're going to go the old school way. Let's give her a call back on here, which is a shame because I loved my little basketball. Look at that in the background, the little basketball. Here we go, folks. All right, keep chatting amongst yourselves. I love it. All right, here we go. This is doing some editing while I am talking to you all. All right, let's hope this one works. Let's bring it back. What an introduction. Oh, goodness me. All right, we're just calling her back. So Britt Smart, she is a professional basketball player. and she's also a coach who's doing some really cool things in the women's basketball space here in Australia. Now she doesn't want to pick up. Like I say, 14 years experience playing as a professional. Oh, hang on a second. Jeez. Technology. Sorry, guys. Please. Oh, I think I've got a...
Hello.
Yeah, it works. Sorry. So sorry. Technology kicking my ass. Britt, welcome to the world of triathlon.
Oh, wow. Never thought I'd hear that sentence.
Ooh, never say never. Now that you've said that, you know what my goal is by the end of 2021 is to get you in some Lycra and around the racetrack.
I don't know if people want to see that, but I'm willing to try.
I know. You can do a triathlon and no one's going to throw me into a basketball game, are they? Maybe I'll do like a shootout or something. You can teach me some techniques.
We could do some 3-on-3, some 1-on-1.
All right. That form's pretty good, right?
Yeah, that one hand, how you did that. Normally people sometimes when they start, they shoot like a bunny. We don't need that. Just one hand.
Yeah. That's not cool, hey. And then it's just leave it hang there for a little bit?
Yeah, I know Easter's coming, but we want more of the swan.
Oh, the swan, got it. That way.
Yeah,
Oh,
you'll snap, and then if it comes down a bit, that's okay.
Yep.
The swan.
Random question, just because I love a tangent. Did you ever work on your post-hoop celebration? So you get a 3-pointer. What's the go-to celebration?
Well, if another teammate makes it, and sometimes me, maybe after I'll shoot, I'll kind of like fist pump if that was a big like, oh, we needed that, glad I got it, or a good pass. But it's normally fist pump, good pass. It could be that I hold it for the swan for a second longer. Yeah. But again, I gotta go. It's a fast game, so I gotta go right to the next play. And it's not as cool for women to celebrate or be as cocky or have some swag like the men. The men's a little more accepted. If the women kind of hold, it's not looked upon as cool, I think. Right. It's almost too cocky or, they're kind of up themselves. To where guys, it's kind of like, that's the showboat way. That's what you got to do.
Isn't that fascinating? The difference. And I think that's across all sports is women do it. It's showing off. You're up yourself. Men do it. And everyone's fist pumping them, wanting to get on board.
Well, now they're starting to copy, at least in basketball, the Steph Currys, the dances, all that stuff. But it's kind of like when women do it, it's kind of just like, it kind of looks like snobby or a little bit, up themselves instead of just, hey, that's my reaction to have fun. And we should celebrate. It's a little bit different, I think. In the States, it's probably a bit more accepted for the women. But, here in Australia, it's really not, especially in team sports, you really don't flaunt at all. But I think it's kind of fun to do that. Why not show if that's how you celebrate and that's how you express yourself? Yeah. Then why wouldn't you do that? I love victory dances. Like in NFL, when they get a touchdown, the whole team has like a whole thing lined up.
It's choreographed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Crazy. Yeah, I like it too. And I've been on a mission in triathlon to try and get the women to do more, more of a finishing line, pump up. But yeah, it's a similar thing, trying to break that cycle. Yeah,
and I mean, it's a cycle between genders and countries a little bit, I think, too. Because I think Americans, we do put on a good show. We put on a show. We're entertainers.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's massive, and even just like the timeouts or halftime shows are unreal. Like we're really trying to put on a production to where here that could be, kind of looked at as showboating. Yeah. But it's more of just like, why not have a really good time?
Totally.
So that's actually kind of what I noticed between like Australian sports and American sports from my viewpoint.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Someone just said Megan Rapinoe was hounded by some in the US for her showboating, and that's a perfect example.
Yes. Yeah. See, I just told you I was watching the playbook about the head coach of the women's soccer team, and they went in. Was it a couple years ago? They scored like 13-0, and they were like celebrating, but they were breaking records, and they kind of had like some showboaty celebrations, and they got hounded I mean, literally got hounded saying it was terrible, it's a terrible look, and it's whatever. But if a guy does a backflip or slides on his knees in a soccer app, you know, like after they get a goal, or if they take off their shirt, or if whatever it is, it's like, oh, they're pumped. They deserve to do that. They've earned that right to do it. To where for women, it's kind of like looked down upon. I feel and that's true, because 13-0, though, and they're way more successful. They're one of the most successful sports in history.
Exactly. Yeah. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And the men, all of the stuff that they do, someone will take a photo of it, and in the next minute, it's merchandise. You know. So anyway.
Well, it's like a posterized dunk.
Exactly.
You know, all of a sudden it becomes a poster, to where it becomes, is that how ladies should act? Is that very proper? And stuff like that. So I know I could keep going about that. But anywho.
we did chat before we went live that there was a good chance this was going to go on many a tangent, and we're okay. We've got nothing else to do today. So
good.
Join in for the ride. Britt, before we get started, I did introduce you, but I want to make sure I've got it right. You have 14 years professional basketball playing under your belt. You've played as a pro in 3 different countries, MVP for Melbourne Boomers in 2017.
Yep.
Yeah? And you still, from what we understand, are the leading scorer in college basketball when you played for Ohio. Is that right?
Well, I played for Cedarville University in the state of Ohio. So I've scored the most points in the state of Ohio for all colleges.
So there you go. You've got some pretty impressive dots on your resume, that's for sure.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Let's talk about the craziness that happened with the college basketball, or is still happening. It's blown up, which is a good thing, because it means that it's being highlighted. And you and I were chatting over Instagram about it. The thing for me, actually, I'll just ask you: is this a shock that this has happened?
No, it's actually not a shock. It's like unbelievable but believable. One of those things. Like, is this really still happening in one of the most popular sports in America? It's not like it was, a non-popular sport like, sailing. It's pretty popular. It was created in the States as well, so it's just kind of like shocking. And that story with the differences of the NCAA bubble, and the welcome pack, the weight room, all of those things, who you can bring into the bubble and all that stuff. It was unbelievable, but believable, and only highlighted by other women NCAA players, basketball players, who were willing to put themselves out there and say this isn't right. It wasn't some other guy in charge, or even woman who's fallen into those stereotypes of, not asking for too much and all that. It was actually highlighted by a female, which I'm pretty proud of. I can't remember her name at the moment, sorry, but there was a few of them that had posted some stuff and started that momentum.
Yeah, and I think when the first post, which I think was about the weights room, is the first one I saw, the feedback that they obviously got about that obviously gave them the ammunition to continue with that line of questioning. Yeah. And again, it's unbelievable, but it's believable. Not one person in the room who's making this decision. Yes, here's the weights room for the men, and here's the weights room for the women. Do you think there was one person in that room who went, hang on a second? Or does that person not exist, do you think?
Yeah, the silence is almost what's piercing your ears more than the people who just decided not to do it. It was the silent partners who didn't speak up, who don't say anything, who are now just as much a part of the problem. And I think that happens a lot with women is, just they don't say anything. So now they're just supplementing or enabling people to continue to act like this. But I think that's what's even more shocking. Oh, hey, let's set up a weight room, guys. Okay, this is what the men's getting. This is what the women's getting. Yep, that looks about right. That, I don't understand that conversation or non-conversation or whatever. Obviously, we got a ways to go still.
And in your 14-year career as a pro, have you seen a shift at all? Because these decisions are archaic, obviously. So have you seen a change?
Well, I always think I start to see a change. That's why it was a little bit unbelievable that it happened. But some little things I think have changed, and and a lot of these gender differences are in sport are really being highlighted. The conversations are happening more. I definitely think that that's the case. I think marketing has gotten better. The fact that they decided to even make a bubble for the women's sports. Maybe back in the day before that, maybe the women would have just had to have canceled their season and the men would have just kept playing. Who knows? We don't know that situation. But I definitely think there is progress in some ways. But then I really start to question and second guess myself when I hear things like this.
And one of the things that we were discussing again before we went live is the people who get the opportunity to speak up. So the women who are part of it at the moment who did speak up, because there were a few, have got a platform. But what about the people involved in sport, obviously involved in basketball because we're talking about that? What can they do to keep trying to make these changes when they don't have a platform as big as this?
I think that's the hardest part is can women find the value in their own voice and speak it at their own level in their own home and circles and feel like it's deserving enough and feel like it's important enough? They deserve to say these things and feel this way. And what are their tangibles in their own world? You don't have to have a world stage to start minor change. To create momentum, when you start making a snowball, it's very, very tiny. Ooh. And then you have to keep, piling on. But that little tiny little snowball, that fluff of thing, if you don't start that, there's nothing to grow on, or a little seed when you're trying to sprout something or grow a tree. So somehow finding significance in your own community, I think that's the starting point. Feeling like it's also going to go somewhere and that it's worth it. Because sometimes when you think about the huge change that needs to happen, you're kind of like, this isn't really going to happen. But if you think of, everyone starting their own little snowball in each house or each town or each community, if everyone just decided to do 2 or 3 things that could make an impact, you're not sure, but let's do that. And it might take generations. You don't know where you could be. So trying to say, look at the bigger wholesome picture of this is still the right thing to do. Let's hope that others see that the honorable, humble value in this for equality in gender and in race and different cultures, like all of these things. If you can find the value, hey, this is the right decision to make for your own person and for your household or your circle. You never know what could happen from there and how much momentum it could start to bring and how big that snowball or snowballs everywhere could really get. You get such a huge snowman, multiple snowmans. Yeah.
A village, if you will.
Yes, exactly.
I want to bring up a comment because we did touch on this when we were chatting about it earlier, and I'd love to get your response to this. Oh, it's a big comment, so I've got to put it in the middle of the screen. Kathy Harris has said, responses I've seen primarily from men is that women's basketball doesn't pull in the same amount of money as the men's basketball. When we tried to engage all the men about the inequities as being systemic and creating the continued inequities was really lost on them. Also, relating it to how much money it makes is a false equivalency. How do we get this out there to have a deeper conversation? I'd love to get your thoughts on that comment.
See, that's hard. I don't necessarily have a clear and direct solution to that problem. And I think that's why it's hard to where, I kind of have to feel, okay, even if I don't have a direct solution to that big one, how can I start creating momentum in that? But she's definitely right. Kathy's definitely right as far as just because they're bringing in more revenue, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't have the same rights to equipment, facilities, marketing, prime time games, prime time, marketing avenues and launches and all of that. But you have to think, the men, they're bringing in more revenue because they were marketed so well, because they were the only market. They were the only one offering anything. So they got to have the prime times of everything when they started out. So you would think equality would be, okay, now that we finally have women in sport, more and more women are playing, we're starting out. So we need that help that the men teams got, 50, 100 years ago, whatever it is. We're just asking for the same. Can we have the same input, marketing, prime time, So if we just ask for that equal because we deserve it, wow, just think all of that income, all of those facilities, all of that time and product and money will go into that. Well, then you're going to get a better product as well, which would then start to even the playing fields for bringing revenue in. How do you do that? I don't know, but that's how in your own little world, community, your basketball clubs, whatever it is, start making a change there. Hey, let's change a primetime game. Can we switch the girls? Can the men open for the girls? Vice versa. Can we do a community launch or something where it's either just for girls or it's the female part is the highlight and then the men are second. It's not that we think men are second or undeserving for everything they've earned, but we won't get there if we don't get the things that they got gifted to them, which was the prime time and the highlights of everything because they were the only one playing sport at that time. Did that even make sense?
Yes.
I don't have a clear solution, but taking it to a smaller scale, in those sports, how can you get that to be the prime time in your life? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up Anne, because someone did say, what actually did happen after this blew up. And Anne has said the NCAA did apologise to players and coaches. Senior VP Dan Gavitt said that they apologised for dropping the ball on the weight room. My issue with this, it makes you cringe. Dropping the ball? No. You fucked up massively. And it for me, that just feels like another throwaway line. And what are you going to do to make it better immediately? And what are you going to do to make sure this never happens again and that you step up to that's a baseball reference. Step up to the free throw line.
To the play. Yep.
What are you going to do to make it a slam dunk from here on in? And so my question to you is, do you think that this kind of blow up will actually change the culture in basketball?
Well, they didn't drop the ball. They came back with an excuse. We didn't have space.
Oh, that's
right. And
right.
they actually turned around and she was like, that's a lot of, I don't know where you guys grew up, but that's a lot of space to me. So they have filled it with more things. But you just wonder, did whoever was in charge of the NCAA fill it because they had to?
Yeah.
Or were they actually, humbled and they really care about the sport? I don't know what their motive was, and that annoys me a bit. So what was your question again? Sorry.
Do you think the culture will actually change so from something like this, is it just a quick Band-Aid fix, or will there be actual action taken from here?
You would think that there would be action and accountability. I mean, they have publicly threw the whole NCAA under the bus. And then people went on to say, if you've ever thought the NCAA really cared about their athletes, they're not showing you that. So believe them when they show you that they don't care about women's sports, when they really don't care about the health and well-being of the kids, and that it's just a huge moneymaker. That's what they're showing you. So believe what's right in front of you. And that was really interesting because, yes, I think the whole weight room thing actually brought out accountability. I actually think there will be a change in the States with that because women's basketball is actually huge over there. That's why it was, unbelievable. And so I do kind of feel like that something at that scale won't happen again at that scale. So that culture change, I think, will be in there. The systemic culture change, probably the deeper levels or things that they can get away with. How many things are they going to try to get away without being caught out again?
Yeah. Do you, and again, not knowing the basketball culture myself, do you think the women who spoke out very publicly, and I cannot applaud them, higher, do you think there'll be any rap over the knuckles for speaking out?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so now. Maybe a few years ago it would have been. Maybe they would have gotten benched. Maybe they would have gotten, who knows. But when they spoke out, you had all of these, TV stations and ESPN and all these big name people and male NBA players, NCAA players. They're also speaking out on it as well. And I just don't think, they would protect. I think they would sue or go to go to war if those girls actually got punished for that. I just don't think that will really happen, at least publicly.
Yeah. It's almost like they needed something to really blow up, because if it was something in the middle ground, then potentially there could have been ramifications, but because it blew up so much, it's not, they surely can't get in trouble because they'd just be thrown under the bus again.
Yeah. And the thing is, the third thing that they struggle with is the difference between food offerings. And what do you need as an athlete? Fuel. Yeah. But if you're not happy with the food, a lot of people could say, oh, just go out and get, your own food. But this multi-million-dollar business franchise institution, NCAA, these NCAA athletes, they don't get paid. Sure, they might get a stipend, sometimes they get that allowance or whatever. But all the revenue that these players are bringing in off their own name and own performance goes back into the NCAA. And I think that's why people are starting to fight for, and LeBron James is a big one for this, is when you get to the NCAA, you're your own brand. You need to get some type of percentage of something coming in of your jerseys from the start, because NCAA is actually, they're 18-year-old athletes, and we don't technically start professional until after that freshman year or later on, but that's a professional level. NCAA, sports are huge and they're at the pro level, but because that institution and our society and the way our American culture and programs and schools they all linked in together, schools and sport, you can't even make money off your own brand, so they can't go out and buy the exact food that they would want. So they're really relying on NCAA to treat them right, and NCAA is just they're making money off of you, Brittany Smart, or whatever athlete you are, and your brand and your name, selling jersey because of your performance and your name. That's why you're starting to see a lot of WNBA or NBA guys, they're leaving college, after maybe 1 year and trying to go to NBA earlier. So now they can make money, and all the money can go to them and not NCAA, a corporation that doesn't actually look out for them. That's a side tangent.
That is a whole other conversation. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm so glad I got you on, because I certainly don't appreciate or fully understand the basketball system, and I guess the journey through the different layups.
Yeah. Love it. That's good.
Jordan Blanco's just said LeBron and Steph. I love that LeBron doesn't need a last name. And Steph Curry are making a stink about it. How, in your opinion, I think I know the answer to this. How important is it to have, in our world, we call them supportive dudes, but to have allies in the men's basketball supporting the women's basketball?
That's huge, because it should never be a competition between men and women. It should really link in together and be supportive in how you play the sport, and also how you vouch for each other, like husband and wife, or wife and wife, husband, whatever it is. Let's not get into that now. But it has to go hand in hand. It can't be the one or the other. And as much as the oppressed in race or gender can say something, because they're oppressed, they can't make the big change by themselves. So it's going to have to be those who do have that leg up at the moment and a higher level, higher platform, a bit more money. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. And I definitely think, what LeBron and Chef Curry, because he can really cook up his own plays. Yeah, he has some spicy moves for sure.
I like it.
But yeah, that's important. You could have all these wild ideas to try and change something, but if I am the one that's oppressed, who's going to listen to me and how? You need your sidekicks. You need people in your corner. And it needs to be, people who are brave as well, and probably have not done more than you, but paved a way somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. Britt, I've taken up heaps of your time, and I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like to say on this topic? And then B, can you just quickly fill me in on what you're doing in the world of basketball? I'm not going to guarantee that there's many triathletes watching who have the coordination to handle a basketball. I have a theory that triathletes don't have any hand-eye coordination. But I'd love to find out a little bit more about what you're doing.
Well, I'll try to put it in the context of, all sports. Obviously, the things that I will be referring to will be basketball specific, but I really think you can do something like this or figure out your own way to make a difference in your own pocket of the earth. For me, what I noticed was there was a problem. And the problem for me was in basketball, there's not individual specific positional coaches that are on the staff. You usually have the head coach and you have an assistant coach or two who might cover defense or cover whatever, but we don't have something to where, like I mentioned before when we chatted earlier, baseball or NFL, where you're having special teams coach or a pitching coach or a catcher's coach, whatever it is. And I found that that's kind of the problem in basketball. You have your overall X's and O's 5-on-5 coach, but the game of basketball is 3-on-3, 2-on-2, 1-on-1, 3-on-2, 4-on-3, different advantages. So I think I'm coming in as a specialist coach where you take the time just for half hour, whatever it is that you have. Let's actually work on, it's a clutch play, 4 seconds left. You actually need to know how to go one-on-one in the scheme of a 5-on-5 game. But a lot of team coaches don't have that. So I think I just saw that problem on the court. And then I've just added, coaches don't take responsibility for injuries, basketball coaches. And I think a good coach can somehow gives the ability of their players to be available and not be injured. So what I've done is just come up with a online step-by-step program of sport-specific strength training and the specialized coaching, and they go hand in hand. So now they're able to do the smaller games and the bigger game of basketball. Now they're able to do that sport-specific training, not fitness training. Who cares how much you can bench squat? And that's not what we want here. And I think that's actually caused some injuries.
Yeah.
So I've just come up with, and I coach some in person. I'm really excited about the online program coming soon, where this kind of goes hand in hand. And I don't think there's another online step-by-step easy protocol to pain-free, the strength conditioning, pain-free versatility in your game. So those are the problems. My solution, was to come up with that easy to follow protocol. The physical part of it where you can follow the programs. And then not only am I your coach, I can also be your teammates in the ultimate teammate program, which is the mentorship. So that part all going hand in hand, because you can't perform and do the physical part if your body's not right, but also your mind, the outside noise, the ability to quiet. So we kind of go over societal issues that could be holding back your performance. So it's the all-around program that I'm putting up online, and I don't think any other basketball program is in the world is put on online in those steps, especially by a female, especially by a current female, professional athlete who's still playing. So I have that relatability. I have that urgency to solve problems. I have the characteristics to relate to the people that I coach. I practice what I teach. So I'm really in there with them, because the result is to create athletes to have leadership, hard work, and those things don't have gender. Leadership doesn't have gender. Hard work doesn't have gender. Humbleness doesn't have gender. And we need to say sport doesn't have a gender. So there shouldn't be different labels. There shouldn't be different prime times and marketing. And that's the end goal of kind of what I'm teaching. And so that was a big thing. But with whatever sport you are, have a problem. You might have the result of what you want to be, but what's your solution and your tangibles to get there? And it can be a sporting thing, or it can just be a culture event, whatever your passion is. I kind of broke it up in those 3 things: problems, solutions. There, we got the result.
I love it. And I love that kind of approach can be taken into any sport and anything really. Now my mind's like, ooh, what else in triathlon? What can we look at to make the sport better? And I think the important thing is, and again, we talked about this offline, is it's not just about the right now. It's about what does the future look like for young basketballers, for young triathletes, and how do we make a difference for the future?
Yeah, well, and I think that's important is because I could have the problem, the results, and solution. So my game plan, it's unbreakable. That's unpenetratable. That's a great game plan.
Yeah.
But if my intention and motive isn't wholesome, humble, with service first, making sure it's also my passion, so it's natural to have these characteristics and morals going into the game plan. If you don't have that, it will falter. There will be holes. You won't get the results you want, and it will just be fake, and it won't be real, and you'll get burnt out.
Yeah.
If your passion, it's easy. It's there, and you care about those who are following you, and that's the type of legacy you leave. If you leave a good legacy, and what I think is a good legacy is really how many people have you helped and served? That's your legacy. Not even necessarily the game plan that I just came up with. Because people only remember really how you made them feel while doing the game plan or the service or product that you provided. Yes, that was good, but when I am around her, I feel better. I feel confident. And you're there to empower them. And I think that's huge.
I love that. How do you make them feel? That's awesome. Fist pump, 3-pointer. Woo!
One.
You know I'm grabbing the basketball and going up the road to have a play later on.
It's such a good sport. You can go. You only need a hoop to get better. It's amazing. I built my whole program a lot during COVID.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Very, very relatable. There's no excuses. If you don't have a hoop, no problem.
Yeah, I love it. Britt, thank you so much for joining me. We are going to love you and leave you, but for those who aren't following you already, you need to jump on, follow Britt on Instagram. I've left a link in the description. And you've also released a podcast that's a few episodes in now.
Yep.
What's the podcast called?
The Smart Athlete.
Check it out. Britt, thank you so much for jumping online at the last minute, and I will be chatting again with you soon.
All right. Sounds good, Steph. Thanks.
Thanks, mate. See ya.
Bye.
All right. Well, wrong one. Jeez. All right, folks, I've got the Wheel of Death happening right now. Let's go back to this one. Sorry, guys, we had a few technical issues there. Hope you enjoyed that. Something a little bit different today. Britt really knows her stuff, and not just about, the pure culture of basketball. I've done I've had a few chats with her in the past about a few different things. I really like her approach to sport, specifically women in sport, and that's why I wanted to get her on. I thought it'd be great for, just a different voice on the Witsup Weekly Grind. It doesn't always have to be about swim, bike, and run. Leave a message in the comments. Let me know what you thought about that. And while you're doing that, let's get into some, it's not really triathlon stuff because, let's be honest, I never really talked too much about triathlon with Jess Learmonth. However, we'll jump to Jess Learmonth now. Here we go.
Ask our Jess.
Are you going for the safari look today?
I know, yeah, I am. I feel like it. It's a bit much, isn't it?
What?
I don't know. I don't know what like zebras don't do that, do they? Because I think that's the look I'm going for, isn't it?
This is from Carrie B. Power. What book are you reading at the moment?
The Serpent is called. Actually, I am literally about 3 pages off the end. I'm an absolute psycho, but I've been on that for like 2 weeks now. So when I've pretty much got to the end of the book, and then I've only got a little bit left, and I'm just not bothered. It's really odd. And the funny thing we're waiting for me to finish reading it because there's an actual programme on BBC about it. So yeah, Serpent is quite good. It's about, I sound like a bit of a psycho because it's about basically a man that goes around killing travellers. It's a true story. In the 80s or 80s, 90s. I should know that, but it's been a while. And that's another thing. I read books and I read it and I obviously know what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Put it down a week later, not a clue. I know, but it's great because then I can just read it again and be all right.
This is from, oh goodness, Gavri...
Go on. Don't worry
Gav?
about it.
This is from Gav.
Gav.
Gav, 400 metre swim PB? Question mark.
My dad would know. I don't have it's not right cracking. I reckon 420-ish in a 50 metre pool, something like that. I don't know now. I'd be a lot slower probably. Sorry, don't really know.
If you could go and do a 400 metre time trial, that'd be great. Get back to us next week.
Actually, we are doing that on Thursday. We're doing 400s descending, so bring it back. I'll tell you next Sunday.
Ask Our Jess is now give Jess training programs.
Yeah. Please coach me.
Yeah. This is from Margarita Barreo. When did you start doing triathlon? Are you laughing at my pronunciation?
Just every time as well. It's like, question from... I mean, I feel for you because I just say question, not from who. But it's good that you do acknowledge who it's from. That's nice. And I'm not laughing at the Margarita.
No, you're laughing at me.
What? Yeah. Oh, I don't know what age. This comes up quite a bit. About 23? 23? Something like that.
This is my favourite question of the day. I wonder if I can show you this.
Interactive question. I like it.
Okay. See, I don't know if it's going to focus.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What should I call my new kitten? She's a platinum mink Tonkinese. You could name a child.
I said that to John. If we have kids, I wouldn't have a clue what to call them. And also, I'd probably regret it after, like you'd think, oh no, I've stuck with that now. It's quite a big decision, isn't it?
You said I'd probably regret it and pointed to me. Don't you like the name Frankie?
Oh, no, yeah. Definitely not Frankie. No, joking. I would go for Celine. I mean, it's a great name. Great. And it's something I do. So, yeah, there you are.
Celine, the platinum mink Tonkinese cat. Celine.
Absolutely rolls off the tongue, that.
Doesn't it?
Perfect. Yeah.
Well, your work here is done for another week.
Nice one. Thank you.
Ask Our Jess.
Jordan, I want to know, are you going to be happy with Celine, the Tonkinese? I've forgotten the rest of it, but Celine as your name for your kitten. Let me know so I can let Jess know if that was a winner or not. Hey, folks, let's quickly move on to races that are happening next weekend. I know in the States that it's still the weekend, but that's what happens with different time zones. We've got a few races coming up next weekend. IMN New Zealand. It was originally meant to be earlier in March, but the team rallied together and managed to put it on this weekend coming up, 27th of March. It is Dr. Hannah Wells' first full distance triathlon. How do you think she'll go? Leave a comment in the comments section. Who have you got your money on? Who are you cheering for at Ironman New Zealand? We've also got Ironman 70.3 Geelong as well, which I'm going to be at, and we're doing some cool stuff there. Hopefully, if I can get everything sorted. Which reminds me, Ellie Salthouse is racing. It's going to be, there's some fantastic women racing, but I think it's going to be another shoulder-to-shoulder fight between Ellie Salthouse and Amelia Watkinson. Just speaking of Ellie Salthouse, the reason I am asking you this question in the poll is because, reopen poll, here we go, is because I've noticed a lot lately on Ellie Salthouse's social media that she does quite a few brick sessions, and she's always wearing her bibs or her nicks for the run portion of the brick session after she jumps off the bike. What do you do when you're doing a brick session? Do you do a full change, or do you keep your nicks on or bibs on or bike shorts, whatever you call them, to do the run portion? I can't even remember. It's been a long time since I have done a brick session. Let me know, fill in the poll that I've just popped up online there on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, just leave a comment in the comments section. Going back to Ask Our Jess, Jordan has said, I think my nephew is winning so far with the name Luna. So anyone else, if you have any tips for Jordan on what to call her cute kitten when is it he or she? I'm not too sure. When the cat arrives, if you have any tips on what you would like to call, what you suggest Jordan should call her cat. Nadine said, I'm in New Zealand. Woohoo! Nadine, are you going to be there? Are you racing or watching? Let me know. Pam Goodley, if at home, I change. If at a park, I don't change. That's a really good point. Jordan has just said the cat is a she. Thank you, Jordan. Important information for everyone to know. If you have any female cat names, female feline names, drop us a comment. Give Jordan some ideas. Pam, yes, Jordan is getting a kitten. Kathy Harris, oh yeah, wear tri-shorts for the brick. Joe has also said that she wears tri-shorts as well. Interesting. I had this discussion actually with a professional athlete the other day about, and I'm not going to say who it is or what they actually said, but it was a funny conversation. And this came up in conversation as to whether what professional athletes or what age groupers continue to wear their bibs during the run portion of a brick session. So I'm not going to tell you what the outcome of that discussion was, but it had me in stitches. Over on YouTube, Anna Edwards has said, I keep my bibs on for a brick session. I wish I could remember what I do. I can't remember. I know, yeah, I don't know. Need to know what the kitten looks like. Pam, go back to watch the Ask Our Jess section. I had a photo of the cat up on the screen. So back to 70.3 Geelong, which happens to be the home of the Cats in football, just because we're on topic about talking about cats. So there you go. That's like a cute segue. Who's your pick in Geelong? Who do you think is going to take out the Geelong 70.3 event on Sunday? Big weekend for racing in the Oceania region, with Ironman New Zealand being moved to Saturday, 27th of March, and Geelong 70.3, which was also postponed and moved to the 28th of March, which is Sunday. So a big weekend of racing. We also have Super League Triathlon happening as well on the weekend. And I believe, Jordan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's the first time that para-triathletes will be a part of the Super League Triathlon events as well, which is fantastic news. We love hearing that. Just going back to some of the comments, Kathy Harris, tri-shorts for riding on the TT, just fine for doing a brick. Big chamois on the road bike feels like a diaper. Fair enough. Pam Goodley was listening but not watching for a couple of minutes. That's fair enough. I'm not here to judge you. I think that's about it. Let's check out what the poll has said, showing the results. And bibs, most people are saying that they do wear bibs or some form of cycling nicks or bibs. 33% say that they definitely change. Jordan has said yes, paratroopers at London Arena Games. Do you mean para-triathletes? Paratroopers at the London Arena Games. Paratroopers, that would make things very interesting for a bunch of triathletes if a bunch of paratroopers came in. There you go. Have I covered off everything? This was a very different Witsup Weekly Grind with probably 40 minutes dedicated to basketball. Who knew that would happen? But in this day and age, anything can happen. And I really enjoyed having Britt on board, especially at last minute. I'd literally teed that up about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours before we went live. And she didn't really know what she was in for. but she obviously held her own. Don't forget to follow her on Instagram. Give her some love over there. She's doing some really cool things in the space of women's basketball and women in sport. Other than that, I think I'm about done. Have we got everything? Someone give me a pick for Geelong. Who's going to win? I'm going to get off the fence and I'm going to go with Ellie Salthouse. I think she is in fine form, and that's no disrespect to Amelia Watkinson. She will also have a cracking day. But if I were a betting woman, which I kind of am, I don't mind a bet every now and then. I think Ellie Salthouse is in tip-top shape, in fine form. I'll think up some more sports sayings. I'm not too sure. But she's on fire. I think she'll be very, very hard to beat on the weekend. Anne Stansel has also said Salthouse as well for the win. It's going to be a cracking race regardless. Nadine, if you're still listening, good luck at Ironman New Zealand on the weekend. Fantastic that the race is even going ahead. So massive kudos to the Ironman New Zealand team for being able to shift such a big event. And the town of Taupo, who really put on a great show and really welcoming town for triathletes, typically from all over the globe, but obviously at the moment just from around New Zealand. Anna Edwards has said, go Amelia. She is going for Meals Watkinson at 70.3 Geelong. I feel like I'm just letting the clock keep ticking over so that I hit the full 1 hour mark. Let's keep it going. We've got 3.5 more minutes until I hit 60 minutes on the clock. So I may as well keep going. Nadina said, thanks. Yep, pretty pumped at how amazing our Ironman New Zealand team are. They've always been a fantastic crew. If you are still tuning in, just give me a shout out. How do you think Dr. Hannah Wells is going to go in her first attempt at the full iron distance? Who have you picked for 70.3 Geelong? Leave a comment in the comment section. Kathy Harris has said, Ironman New Zealand is gorgeous. So excited for everyone. Most gorgeous swim. Can see all the way to the bottom of the lake. Fantastic. Fiona Cole, how many pros are racing in Geelong? Great question. I don't actually have the answer off the top of my head, but at last check, I'm going to guess around 10, maybe a dozen. Kathy Harris, question, is Ironman New Zealand a mass start, or did they do away with it? Just trying to think. Last year was still a mass start. Fantastic question. Nadine, if you are still there, I reckon you will know. Nadine, yep, mass start for the full 70.3 is a rolling start. There you go. Probably one of the only mass starts left in the sport. It is a stunning, absolute stunning swim course down in Taupo. Hope the water's still warm enough for you all down there as well, Nadine. Might have to have go for the double swim cap. Okay, we got 2 minutes to go. We're going to keep it going. Sounds like it's an auction or a horse racing event. Fiona Cole has just said, how many pros are racing in Geelong? If anyone knows, I just can't bring up the information right now. But like I say, I'm pretty sure it was around about a dozen or so. Nadine has said, yep, the only one I think WA was until the Shark Fest in 2017 where they changed the swim. That's right. And just quickly on that, the way that was organised, because athletes had already started the swim, then there was a shark alert, alarm or what have you, and I think it was just the 70.3 athletes who had actually started, and they go all the way down the jetty and then all the way back for the 3.8k swim, and the 70.3 athletes obviously don't do. They should swim all the way down and then run back and just make it a massive transition for the 70.3 athletes. But anyway, they don't go all the way down the jetty anymore. It just sort of stays quite close to the shore. But the way that the team got people out of the water and back on safe dry land so quickly and so efficiently was really impressive back when that happened. All right, that is enough from me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget, if you aren't already a Witsup Patreon member, please consider doing so. You just need to sign up on patreon.com/witsup and help support what we are trying to achieve, which is changing the media landscape for women in sport and continuing to tell powerful narratives of women within our sport. Would really appreciate the support. Alrighty, and that's about it. Take care, and I'll see you I've gone over the hour. I'll see you this time next week. And roll outro. Go. Go.